Picture this. You're in the grocery store parking lot. You've already driven all the way there. You walk in, grab a cart, and then it hits you. Why am I here? What was I supposed to buy? You stand there staring at the aisles like they're written in a foreign language. In that moment, it's easy to think, oh no, is something wrong with my memory? Today, we're going to separate two things that get lumped together all the time: brain fog and memory loss. They can feel similar from the inside, but they're not the same process in your brain. And that matters because what you do next depends on which one you're dealing with. I'm Kristen Beasley. Let's sort this out in a way that calms your nervous system and gives you some clear next steps. Let's start with brain fog because that's what most people are describing when they say, my brain feels off. Brain fog isn't a medical diagnosis. It's more like a label we put on a cluster of experiences. Your thinking feels slow, focusing takes more effort, and you're losing your train of thought mid-sentence. You can't find the words you want, and sometimes it feels like your mind is wrapped in cotton. Here's the key idea. With brain fog, your brain usually isn't broken. It's more like it's running under bad conditions. Your processing speed and your executive function take a hit. Executive function is that set of skills your brain uses to plan, prioritize, start tasks, switch between tasks, and hold information in mind for a moment while you use it. When that system is underpowered, everything feels harder. I like to think of your brain as a high-performance engine. Brain fog is what happens when that engine has poor fuel, not enough sleep, and way too much stress, exhaust in the system. The parts aren't necessarily damaged, the environment just isn't supporting smooth performance. So, what tends to create brain fog, especially for women in midlife? Number one, hormonal shifts. As estrogen declines during perimenopause and menopause, it can change the activity of key brain chemicals involved in focus and memory, including dopamine and acetylcholine. That doesn't mean you're losing your mind. It means your attention system has lost some of the support it once had, and now you feel it. Number two, sleep, especially fragmented sleep. Deep sleep is not just rest. It is when your brain does repair work and organizes information. When deep sleep gets disrupted, you can wake up technically alive and functional, but mentally under-resourced. Have you ever noticed how one bad night can make you feel like you're thinking through molasses? That's not in your head. That is your head. Number three, chronic stress and elevated cortisol. When stress is constant, it can blunt the function of the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles focus, decision-making, planning, and working memory. So if you feel scattered, forgetful, and emotionally fried at the same time, stress may be a major part of the picture. And number four, metabolic issues like insulin resistance and inflammation. If your body is struggling to manage blood sugar efficiently or your inflammation markers are up, your brain energy supply and signaling can get less efficient. Translation, things slow down. Concentration gets harder. Word recall gets annoying. You don't feel sharp. Now, here's the most important defining feature of brain fog. It's inconsistent. It comes and goes. Some days you feel clear, other days you feel fuzzy, and you can often connect it to sleep, stress, your cycle, your nutrition, or a stretch of overwork. Brain fog tends to be responsive, meaning when you improve the conditions, the fog can lift. It's reversible for many people. Okay, so what about memory loss? When clinicians talk about memory loss, they mean something different. They're talking about a breakdown in the process of forming a memory, storing it, and retrieving it later. Not just slow access, not just feeling sluggish, but the information itself may not be there in a usable way. Here's a simple comparison. With brain fog, you might struggle to pull up your neighbor's name in the moment. It feels embarrassing, it feels scary, and you can't believe you can't get it out. But then later, maybe you're in the shower or driving, and suddenly it pops into your head. That's a big clue. The memory existed. Your brain just couldn't access it efficiently at the time. With true clinical memory loss, the issue can be that the memory never really formed and didn't stick, or can't be retrieved even with time and prompts. You might not remember the conversation at all. Not later, not after someone gives you hints, not after you sleep on it. It's not a delay, it's a gap. So, what are some red flags that lean more towards memory loss than brain fog? One is repeating the same question within minutes and not realizing you already asked it. It's not the normal, wait, did I tell you this story kind of moment. It's a repeated loop with no awareness. Another is getting lost in places you know well. Not a quick moment of where did I park, but genuine confusion about your surroundings or how to get somewhere familiar. Another is suddenly struggling with tasks you've done for years, like following a recipe you've made 100 times and finding the steps confusing or out of order in a way that feels unfamiliar to you. And one of the biggest signals is this: other people notice changes before you do. Brain fog is usually something you feel and complain about. You're frustrated by it. You can describe it. With dementia-related changes, it's often family members or coworkers who see the pattern while the person experiencing it may not recognize it clearly. Now, let me be very clear about why I'm drawing this line, not to scare you, to give you power. Because the reality is, the vast majority of cognitive changes many women experience in perimenopause and menopause are brain fog. They're connected to sleep disruption, stress load, hormone shifts, and metabolic health. And those are things you can address. When you improve the conditions, many women notice their clarity returning. The story is often not, "I'm declining." The story is, "My system is overloaded and it's asking for support." I'll tell you how this shows up for me. When my sleep is steady and my recovery is good, my mental clarity is noticeably better. When my nights get broken up and stress is higher, I can feel the fog creep in. That pattern matters because it reminds me it's not random, it's responsive. And responsive means changeable. So what can you do starting this week? Let's make this practical. First, track it. Take 1 minute every Sunday and rate your mental clarity from 1 to 5. 1 is, "I feel like I'm wading through quicksand," and 5 is, "I feel sharp and present." Do that for a month and then look for patterns. Does it track with sleep, with stress? Where are you in your cycle? With a week of skipped meals and too much caffeine? Fluctuation is a big clue that you're dealing with brain fog and that you have levers you can pull. Second, test it. If you can, talk with your healthcare provider about basic labs that can reveal common contributors to fogginess: thyroid markers, fasting insulin, inflammation markers like HSCRP, ferritin for iron stores, and vitamin D. If something is noticeably off, that's not bad news. That's actionable information. Third, protect your inputs. One that doesn't get enough airtime is hearing. Hearing loss is a major modifiable risk factor for cognitive decline. If you've been putting off a hearing test, consider bumping it up on your list. I live with hearing loss myself, and I use Starkey AI hearing aids every single day. Supporting hearing is not vanity, it's brain care. And fourth, if you're worried, get assessed. A neuropsychological evaluation isn't a judgment, and it isn't something to fear. It's data. A neuropsychological evaluation, something your doctor can refer you for, can provide a detailed cognitive baseline. And a clear picture is almost always better than the story your brain tells you at 3 in the morning when anxiety is doing the talking. Here's the key takeaway I want you to remember when you're standing in that grocery store aisle, trying not to spiral. Brain fog is your brain asking for better conditions. Memory loss is your brain signaling a broader change in the structure or wiring of memory. This is a general framework to help you communicate with your healthcare provider, not a self-diagnosis tool. They can feel identical in the moment, but they are not the same thing. Brain fog is like the weather. It shifts, it responds, it can be clear. Memory loss is more like the climate. It represents a different category of change, and knowing which one you're dealing with changes what you do next. If the weather versus climate reframe just made something click for you, share this episode with a woman who's been quietly panicking about her mind. Sometimes one clear distinction can save someone weeks of fear. Next week is the episode about, is this hormones or something more? We'll zoom out and we'll talk about the bigger diagnostic picture, what to ask for, what to rule out, how to advocate for yourself if you're being brushed off with, "It's just aging." Take care of your beautiful brain. Quick disclaimer before you go: I am a health coach, not a licensed medical professional. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes, not medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please talk with your physician or a qualified healthcare provider about your specific situation. Always evaluate health information carefully, especially before trying new treatments, and get professional guidance to make safer choices. This podcast and the show notes may include affiliate links, which can earn me a commission at no extra cost to you and help support the show. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases.